Yeah, so thank you so much. I am always humbled to come and speak for you guys because, you set the bar very high. And I'm thrilled to be asked again. I think this is my third time to be with you, and I'm really pleased to do so. First and foremost, I want to tell you that I am absolutely honored to be coming to you today from the Wasanich and Lekwungen Peoples Territory in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia. So I am on the Pacific Coast. It's 4:15 my time, and the sun is shining, and I'm grateful for this land. I'm grateful for the knowledge of how this land has been held for generations because I didn't know. And as Harry mentioned, when you know better, you do better. That's my favorite quote. And now that I know better of the history of the land that we so graciously as Canadians live on, I want to do better with my knowledge and my awareness of how to honor those who have been before me and who continue to live side by side with me. So I honor the Wasanich and Lekwungen speaking peoples, and I ask you to do the same wherever you are, that you know the territory you're on. I want to share my screen because, it's always a good practice. Actually, really is like a cheat too, because when you share your screen and you have some sort of ability to project, it gives you the opportunity to have Cole's notes of your own version of what you're talking about. So I do encourage a slide decks, but not stuffy, boring ones. So I want to kind of whisk through some slides that are going to help trigger me in sharing with you what I'm here to talk about. Earned value management. I mean, not the most dynamic topic, but it was actually asked specifically due to a newsletter post that I wrote quite a few months ago on earned value management. So I want to take you through sort of very high level what it is. Most of us, actually, I would venture to guess, all of us know what earned value management is. If we have sat for our PMP or our CAPM exam, we know because we had to pass it. And you learned all of the values and all of the different calculations. I want to focus on what we do with it practically in our work, definitely, but also in our life. So imagine for a moment you're planning a home renovation project. Now, you're not necessarily the PM, you could be, or this could just be your home and your project. Just want you to go with me down this road. You've given yourself or the project a budget of $100,000. And with 6 months of time, you want to have spent about $55,000 of that budget. Now, your ultimate goal for this project is you want it to be completed in 12 months. Depending on where you live, that may sound more feasible than others. Where I live in Victoria, we have fair weather, and a home renovation project can technically be done all year round, even if it's outdoors. But you aren't going to do this work. No, you're going to hire a contractor. Not necessarily a project manager, but you're going to hire a contractor to do the work. And in your conversation with a contractor, you agree on a schedule and a price. And because of your knowledge of projects, you have an awareness of what you're looking for. So you've agreed to a price, you've agreed to that 12-month schedule, and you are expecting to spend about $55,000 of your 100K budget the 6-month mark. So as the project progresses, you want to know if you're getting your money's worth. Absolutely. And what you and I are aware of as project professionals, what people who aren't project skilled perhaps, what they don't know is that we can analyze data to give us really accurate predictions. This is what EVM is. We don't have to make assumptions. We don't have to guess where we're at. But we can ask ourselves questions about whether we're getting our money's worth by, are the materials being used as planned? How do we know that? Well, how much we've spent, where we are in the schedule, right? Those constraints and that data that we can collect at any point in our project schedule, they can tell us things about where we're at. Is the work that we've hired done, is it on schedule, or is it going according to schedule? Most people who don't have awareness of earned value management don't know how to tell these things, but you and I do. We do because as project professionals, we have understood that earned value management helps you answer these questions. It gives us the ability to play with all of those variables and recognize very accurately where we're at. You know, it measures project success. It takes into consideration the work that's been accomplished based on costs we've incurred up until now, and it measures that all or puts it in perspective over the original budget and schedule that we had planned. So it's measured project success, and that accuracy gives us information that we don't easily get if we just go, oh, it looks good, right? Your view of a project success based on a home renovation may be skewed. You know, depending on who you are, you may say, oh, well, this room is looking great, when in fact, it could be aesthetically there, but there could be a lot of things going on behind the scenes that you don't see that may not be as far along as we want. So, EVM to the rescue. Let me give you an example. We'll give you the math example. So earned value is what we're measuring in earned value management. And earned value is pretty simple. It's the percentage of what we've planned completed times the budget at completion. So whatever we said we were going to spend, remember, 100 grand, then our earned value is the percentage completed. So if we're at 50% completed, we've spent 55,000, which is what our plan was, and our planned budget at completion was $100,000. Our EV would be 55,000. Why? Well, simply because we're on schedule, we're in cost. Because that's what we planned. That's what our high level, well, let's face it, it would be a very detailed WBS, and there would be lots of tasks in there, and we would have done some sort of bottom-up estimating to give us that amount. But at that high level, we would be able to say, yeah, that's our plan, and that's where we're at. But I don't know about you. If you've ever done a home reno, whether you did it yourself or whether you hired it done, things don't always go to plan, correct? Plans change. Situations happen, both positive and, well, we're going to say not so positive things can influence change in our projects. So if we are 50% completed, but we actually find out that we've only spent $45,000. So, I mean, this might sound like a strange thing to have happen, but it can happen. We're 50% complete, but our contractor and all of our cost totals are at 45,000. So we look at that and go, okay, if we're at 45, our earned value would be $50,000. But let's look at the calculations. So our schedule variance, which is SB, is $5,000. That's not so good. Why? Because we're not on schedule. We're not to plan. Our schedule performance index is coming out at 0.91, which is also not so good, right? Because we're really not on schedule. But we'll go to our cost variance. So we look at our cost variance and we do the math and we come up with a $5,000 cost variance. Well, that's pretty obvious to see. I've given you a high level example with fairly large numbers that we can easily do the math on. So we're in good shape for cost. We are under budget, right? But we are not on schedule. And then our cost performance index gets calculated at a 1.11. That sounds like a lucky number, doesn't it? All ones. And that gives us a smiley face because we realize we are actually under. So our estimated actual cost at completion, our estimated completion cost of $100,000, we take that 1.11, we multiply it by the 1.11 over our total cost plan, and bingo bango, look at that. If we stay on track with our costs, we could be under budget to the tune of 10 grand at our 12-month completion. The challenge, of course, is we're aware that the schedule isn't quite right there, and we're going to need to do a little bit of work there. But This gives us very accurate data on something like this and makes us realize that, you don't just look at, oh, we're pretty close. No, we can take those hard numbers, we can run them through these calculations, and these calculations can give us an accurate picture of where we're actually going to be at. Now, of course, always the goal in our triple constraints would be to definitely want to be under budget at our 12-month mark. Certainly, if it's your own home reno, that's music to your ears. Doesn't often happen, but why doesn't it happen? Well, probably because people don't always do this midway through. We don't necessarily do analysis at the stages or the phases of the project that we could, that would give us an idea of, okay, right now we are under budget, but our schedule isn't to plan. What are we going to do about that? When you do earn value management at regular intervals that you've pre-planned on your project, you have the ability to stop the madness before it gets out of hand. If, for instance, you had been doing this at month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, an earned value management process that's cyclical can put the power of data into your hands where you can control your schedule, your WBS, maybe not your contractor, but in theory, you can have a heads up that's very accurate about how you're going to control project work. This is why earned value management is so important, because it gives us the ability to measure with accuracy in a simplistic way. It's informed data, and it gives us the truth. Harry mentioned that I've been at this for 30 years in a whole bunch of different environments. I have to admit, I didn't know for all of those 30 years that what I was a project manager. No. In fact, I just thought I was a subject matter expert in a few pockets. But what I realized in the life of my career is that I was a project manager, and one of the reasons that I began to get better at my ability to do earned value management and manage my schedules and my costs was that I was keenly interested in the truth. I think dynamic, tremendously gifted project management professionals, I think they value the truth. Because if you are honestly going to look at where you're at, make an assessment, and then take the leadership steps required for you to step out and have those critical conversations with different people in the project, even when the truth hurts. Overall, we become better project managers. We show up with more integrity and character, and let's face it, we can control outcome when we actually know what's going on. So I love earned value management because from a data standpoint, it's recognizing the truth of where we're at. So that said, my sweet spot, what I'm most passionate about as a PM is actually this. It's you guys. It's you and I as humans showing up every day and doing great work. Why? Because we are passionate about not just getting a paycheck. Hopefully, we're also passionate about doing great work. And earned value management as a philosophy, when applied not just to your project work, but to your career, to your profession, and to your desire for your future and where you want to go, I think it's hugely valuable, because EVM helps keep track of the project's progress so that you can make adjustments as needed to ensure that you're meeting the goals and you're using all the resources you planned. But my friends, that same mentality helps you as a professional keep track of your personal progress so that you can make adjustments as needed, so that you meet your career goals and you are using the resources you currently have as well as you can, and you are aware of the resources you have yet to acquire that you want to, like, I don't know, public speaking, maybe being involved in Toastmasters. I'm preaching to the choir here. You guys are already on this track, but I think earned value management gives us the right mentality to think about who we are as people, as individuals, as professionals. Because our lives and our careers, we really need to feel empowered by where we're at. Why? Because there's so many reasons. The culture around us, the organizations we work for, the people we mingle with, there are so many negatives. There is so much opposition to perhaps what we're actually at our core passionate about. And I want to empower you to stay in your lane, friends. Stay where you feel your gifts and skills are perfectly aligned. As a PM, as a BA, as a professional in any capacity, as a SME, whoever you are, your life and career, uniquely, it's yours to have. It's yours to craft, and it's yours to leverage and benefit to you, your family, to the people that you care about. So, the most accurate measure, I would say, is not for you to look around you and compare yourself to others. Whatever you do, don't in this moment be thinking of how you're comparing yourself to me as I'm the one on stage presenting. Why? Because it's not fair. Because my EVM and your EVM for where we're at in our careers is different. You need to take stock of what you planned to accomplish as a professional. What's your planned value? What have you invested in terms of your time, your money, your talents? What are your kind of triple constraints in your career? And balance all of that, not by comparison to others, but balance it against your own goals and dreams. I don't think we spend enough time as professionals thinking about our own goals and dreams. In fact, I think a lot of the organizations we work for don't want us to. Because if we got really enthusiastic about our own goals and dreams as professionals, we might not work for them anymore. And I think that's a scary place for a lot of old school organizational thinking. But you know what? The world's a different place. And you and I have the ability to make changes to who we are and to where we work at any point. And those opportunities that are in front of us, we need to leverage them. Why? Because we can. Because we can. So, if you want to do that, what would I recommend? Well, don't lose perspective, because losing perspective on where you're at is very common. In your pursuit of success in your career, in your project management achievements, you and I, and I'm gonna stop youing and I'm gonna I-ing from now on. I suffer from self-doubt. I get up some days and question my ability, not just to accomplish quality work as a PM, to want to, you know? Life is hard. I don't know about you, but I'm just like struggling a lot of days, feeling the complexity of wanting to be an amazing professional and questioning whether I can really hack it and continue to do it. And I've been at it for a long time. I think I'm also tired. And if you're feeling any level of exhaustion, that can really increase your self-doubt. But take heart, my friend. Self-doubt is normal. And ignoring that it's most likely something you're going to feel doesn't help you feel it less. Ignoring it actually has it take root. So when you're feeling like you're not sure you can do it, talk about it. Share that with others. Do that, because when you begin to externalize your self-doubt, you will be amazed at how many people will shut you down and say, no, you don't need to feel that way. You've got this. Why? Because they see a version of you that in those moments you can't see. And this is why I think as humans, we were built for community. We were built for Toastmasters groups like this, where we can rub up against each other figuratively and help each other, build our skills, increase our confidence, and greatly reduce our self-doubt. Because another thing that I suffer from, and you may too, is imposter syndrome. It's amazing to me how the human condition, even with all the letters behind our names and the education and the experience, we can still have a persistent internalized feeling of being exposed as not as good as we are. Or for that matter, when I heard Carrie talk about all the universities I teach for, I literally hear it and I'm still like, oh, but one day one of those universities will wake up and say, what are we doing with this person? What are they doing here? Still feel that way. And yet, time and time again, I'm in those rooms, I have those moments, I'm given that platform, and yet I can still struggle to believe that, I don't know, someday, maybe someone's going to wake up and call me a fraud. I think I'm very active on social media, and if you follow me, I think social media also has kind of leaned into making me feel like I could be called out as an imposter. Why? Because social media is this interesting environment where people can give their beliefs about something and or never have to face the music of being in a critical dialogue where logic and reason and emotion are balanced. It's just sort of this environment where people can spew out a lot of things, positive, but also really negative. And I think sometimes I post, I type my newsletter and post it on Saturdays and go, what am I doing? Why do I have a newsletter? Literally, it's this persistent fear. And I recognize when I tell people that I have it, 9 times out of 10, others agree that they also suffer from it. And together we can recognize it's a normal thing to feel. And we don't want to lose perspective. Those normalities, they make us human. And that fear is never the right place to make good decisions from. As a PM, in your home build, if you're afraid that your costs are low, if you're afraid that because we are under budget, somehow that means the contractor is not doing good work or using high quality goods, as a PM, you wouldn't ignore that. No, you would poke at it. You would prod at it. You would analyze to make sure you understood. That's what earned value management does. We need to do that for ourselves. We need to be asking ourselves those questions. The other thing that I often feel, if I feel behind, and I don't want to feel behind, but when I feel behind, I recognize that it's because I'm measuring my success against the perceived or real success of others. And that is not fair because earned value management means it's my baseline. It's my perspective. It's my plan. It's what I have decided for myself. That's what happens, not other people's impressions, because only you can define success for yourself. Only we get to do this. No one else gets to do this for us. As project managers, we don't have someone else come into our project and define whether it's successful or not. Even stakeholders and sponsors don't want to tell us that. We'll caution them. We'll do the data, we'll do the earned value management, we'll present it back to them with that information. Why? Because we know that there's critical measurements there that can be really helpful in giving perspective. Why don't we do that for ourselves? Your earned value is the measurement of what you have accomplished based on your own expectations of yourself and nobody else's. Your own expectations of yourself. And you, my friend, get to define your baseline. Why? Because if you expect more of yourself, then that's a choice you make to feel inferior or behind. Some of you may find that being motivating. I know in my life, sometimes I am motivated by other people. It's okay, but I get to decide that, not other people's expectations. And if you expect less of yourself, maybe that gives you more sense of pride. It depends. The goal here is, or the catch is, only you define your baseline. If you choose as a professional to allow family members, partners, business or life, colleagues, or friends to set your baseline, you enslave yourself for their expectations. And that is unprofessional. As project leaders, we do not enslave our project plans and our decisions to other people's expectations. We deal with the truth. And you and I, we need to do the same for ourselves. We do not want to be enslaved to other people's expectations. That power resides in us, so we need to stop giving it away. And it's easy to give it away because we're human. And our shared experience, we want to be appreciated and valued and understood by others. But there's a boldness that we also have to lay hold of here. We have to claim that what we decide our success is what that's the accurate measurement. Because EVM can't accurately assess how you feel about where you are. It can help you, it can give you indicators, it can give you a measurement of, well, I did this much schooling, I spent this much money, I've accomplished this much, this is how much I make in this job, this is what I'm predicting to make. You can do all of those calculations, but none of that makes you or gives you feeling. You know, humans, we're all about emotions. And I know some of you probably work really hard at work to sever your emotions, to keep them at bay. The problem is we're unsuccessful in the long term at doing that. Because how you feel about where you're at is actually very important. Because humans, we are not data. We are soft. We are absolutely mammals with feelings and emotions. We do conscious and unconscious things. We think them and we do them. And all of those aspects make us unique. So when thinking about our accomplishments as earned value over the course of our lives, we can gain a healthy perspective. If there are things you haven't achieved yet, you need to do some EVM on yourself, my friend. Think about, are those expectations unrealistic based on your triple constraints and what you've invested in and what you've planned? Because if so, then cut yourself some slack. Don't worry about imposter syndrome. You're growing in your expertise. You're on a pathway to earn where you want to be. Because how you feel about where you are is valid and it's important. And you, because you're human, cannot easily be measured or controlled. I'd only have to interview all of your bosses to find that. You know, great, full of presence human professionals, particularly project managers. We are tough to control. And that's because we have this ability to understand complexity, to measure it, and to manage it. So I have a project for you. And this is certainly something that I work at in my own life. And I would encourage you to begin to think about the triple constraints of time, money, and goals, which is essentially scope. And how do you feel? How do you feel about where you are right now based on those triple constraints? What's the scope of your profession that you've decided, not what other people want, but what you want? Where are your finances based on, obviously, things take, have costs associated. School, education, time, it all has a monetary value. Think about that. Think about how that fits in with the way you're, scheduling your trajectory of your career. Did you learn? Ask yourself these questions. Did you learn from the experiences that didn't go as planned? Well, yeah, I hope so. Isn't that what we do as project management professionals? We know lessons learned. We are only as valuable as our last lesson learned and our ability to adapt and increase our expert judgment. But ask yourself those things based on your own situation. Have you invested in things that bring you joy and that will last? And that could be your personal life, but also your professional life. If you don't have fun at work, go work somewhere else. Life is too short, and where you get your joy from, hey, your joy could come from things that I find horrifyingly awful. That's okay, because you're not comparing yourself to me. No, you are asking yourself what brings you joy and what you really value. And that makes that joy complete for you. And then what earned value do you have from your life and your career journey right now? Ask yourself these questions. Take some time, invest in doing your own kind of earned value management for where you are at. As a professional, I cannot recommend this enough. It's so helpful. And we have the tools, we have the techniques, we have the artifacts and the methods for project management. What we don't do with them oftentimes is turn them on ourselves and make them relevant. I know I have struggled to do that. I played the comparison game far too long and felt completely disappointed where I was at until I realized, you know what, I'm human. I want to share my insecurities with others. I want to show up in transparency and vulnerability. And I want to do EVM on me. I want to make sure that I feel that power because it's my truth. It's my truth. It's your truth. And when we have the truth, we can do anything. That's how we were designed, certainly as humans. But if you have any slant towards project management, you've got skill sets here you can leverage and benefit to you. Because every step of your way, earned value is leading you to where you want to go. You. No one else gets to decide that. You get to decide. So I want to thank you so much for your time. I would encourage you to take the time to do this little project of mine, do the self-assessment, and for that matter, think about how EVM can be applied to your actual life and your career, not just to measure the construction on a project. So with that, I'm grateful for the time. I'm also known as the Feisty PM. I'd be happy to connect with you on LinkedIn. Look out for my newsletter, seeing now as you're fully aware of how when I'm getting ready to post it every week, I'm feeling all those vulnerabilities. I'm really, really honored to be invited back so many times to share with you. And always, it's my pleasure. And like I said, you guys, you raised the bar. Because when it's time for me to come and speak, I'm like, oh no, with all these great Toastmasters. But I appreciate that. Iron sharpens iron. So thank you very much.
Thank